What's up, mother? Hello.
What's
everybody.
up, wishies? Yeah, that's not how I see it.
I mean, those are the aesthetics, though.
I mean, sure.
And Tuesday, if you want to see me draw designs like this, these two are two of the final boss characters, which is why they look very extra. God, this has been so much fun. That's what I have for announcements. Everybody, everyone out there. This might be where the video starts even. We get comments, right, where like people will say they have a hard time with the political ones, where we get really political because we are attacking politics that they might align with or relate to or feel less hostile about, etc., etc. And our take has always been like, those critiques are in here. Great news for those people today. We have excellent news. However, I want to say we are going to try to avoid being political until the end of the video. But the end of the video will be an exam on the politics of this arc, so I'm going to tell you to take notes every time we touch on a subject that we're going to come back to later. So I'm going to be reiterating, take notes whenever we're at those points.
Yeah, Drock was sitting with me, and I was reading beside him, and it was a whole new way to do it. We have decided that if we were sitting near each other all the time, we'd crack this baby open.
Mm-hmm. The bouncing off each other was incredible. Hey, person who's saying One Piece's politics are mostly just anti-fascist, definitely not the case. We have found some politics here that are a much more thorough political message than just being anti-fascist. And definitely. Let me tell you, if all you're reading is anti-fascism, you may not love the political observations Oda has for you in this arc, and we are going to love explain.
I am so excited to be in Oz. We're not in Kansas anymore.
We are not in Kansas anymore. What's One Piece Kansas? What's the closest to Kansas we've had so far?
I actually don't know.
Syrup Village?
Oh, Syrup Village. Yeah, Syrup
Village feels the most Kansas to me for some reason.
I was just going to say, like, where is it that we've just hung out and been in a blah, blah? Whiskey Peak was a little Kansas, but not really.
Whiskey Peak is Minnesota.
If you're just hanging out and having a life.
Whiskey Peak is.
Hey, yo, way to go, Ohio. Okay, so we aren't in Kansas anymore, which was Syrup Village. I know theoretically we haven't been there in a while, but we're super not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
Now we've invited the Germans to hang out in Oz.
You got a lot. I came into this feeling Weimar Germany, and I think there's a reason I felt that, but I think you're right that this is far more American in influence.
Yeah, it really is. And then I think that far more American than ever thought before. And I think that I could have been on your end of the spectrum, except for me. A couple of things stand out right away. Everyone calls this Toto Island.
Totoland.
Totoland? Yeah, it's Toto. And that's what I'm going to say, and everyone can bite me on it. And as soon as I saw that thing that I was like, oh, this is Toto. And if this is Totoland, let me just see. Is there a yellow brick road? Oh, there it is. Oh, look at me. And then, yes, we do bless the rains that come down in Africa. That Wonderland kind of feeling, because we do get the kind of Queen of Hearts soldiers out there right away.
Oh, absolutely.
Doing their thing. It does have this just like great Wonderlanding Oz awesomeness.
And I think the fact that the outfits are 1001 Nights and Grimm's Fables are the two.
And I was here for it, but I was confused by it. And then immediately it opens up and everyone's like, let's just be the weirdest weird in Weirdville. And I was like, I can handle that. I'm not going to lie to you. And this is the one where we see Doofus, who I hate, the wet reindeer, still inside of the jail. This is where he was. And that is why I was confused last time. Oh my goodness. I adored watching them travel and starve. Why? I don't know. Is it
wrong? You
liked
seeing how hard it was without Sanji?
I think that's what it is. Maybe I'm kind of here for Sanji, and I think that's, as I've said before,
how Luffy has become incredibly poison resistant from Ivankov saving him, and despite that, he manages to poison himself.
It really impressed me. Like, you gotta really do some poison stuff to get to that point. But I do think it's weird that everyone else in the crew only eats the flesh, and Luffy is like, scared.
He gets an arc, and it's like, yeah, this is the arc about Sanji, and it's just so much emotional torture.
Yeah.
It's like if Nintendo did the Year of Luigi, and there was just a game that came out that was like, Luigi deals with chronic mental health disorder. Luigi's Asylum.
Yanji, unpopular opinion, sucks.
Can I say an actual unpopular opinion?
What?
Out of the evil Sanji brothers, he's my favorite because I love how dumb of a power Winch is.
Really?
Sanji likes himself on his Winch.
My favorite of the brothers is Sanji. And
I mean, but Sanji doesn't count. Come on.
I know, I'm being a cheeky kid. My least favorite of the brothers is, I don't know. You know what? Actually, I never thought about this, so I'm just lying to you. This isn't a thing I've thought of. I'm just taking a moment to stare at one of the giant snails. But I feel better.
Okay.
I do like that they also like hot chicks a lot, because it did feel like at least that ran in the family.
I saw a funny theory about that where it was like, yeah, of course the emotion he's going to leave in these boys is
Of all of his siblings, just
Yeah.
because she's so damn cool. Like, she's so damn cool. And her eating the poison out of Luffy was both disturbing and amazing. I love how much she treated it like a blessing. Like, ah,
poison. Love that shit.
and now I have poison in my head.
Just can't get over what a dumb power winch is.
You know, does he camp?
I don't think so. He's a prince. He's an evil assassin, super soldier, Nazi prince. I think camping's not on the list of
Because if he
hobbies.
camps, there's a lot of use for winching while camping. He should think about taking up camping.
Where are we?
I don't know. We're in 827. I didn't really care about the beginning chapters. I want to get the hell onto the land.
Yeah, dude, skip ahead. Let's zoom. We need time to talk about politics.
Oh, I love Nami's little outfit.
It's so good, right? Remember when you were hyping up how much you loved the Zhao outfit? And I was like, yeah, it's like my second favorite Nami outfit, but the one next arc just kills me. It's so cute.
I still love Zhao better because
It's
I
fair.
felt like she owned her sexiness more in this one. I feel like this is more like schoolgirl crap, and I'm not really into that. But it's so adorably done, though. On the other hand, that I just love
It's
it.
a little Bavarian, like she looks like a tavern girl, and I don't know. I'm all about it. I'm all about Bavarian drip. Someone just said that Nami has the most fashion sense in the crew, and I think Sanji is competition.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, have we met Sanji?
Sanji,
But in the last arc was pure fire. Like,
Brooke and Robin both have very nice dress, but in like they go a bit hard in the ostentatiousness and like leaning hard into a style. Whereas Sanji and Nami wear really great outfits that I feel like I would see people in modern day walking around in just high society.
I would agree. Okay, so we're hanging out in Toto Land. We've got some issues going on. Stress is high. We decide that we need to split up because we have to find our Sanji. We have to get all this shit done, and we're going to need to split up again like we always do. If it was Scoob and the gang, you think they would learn a lesson. As soon as I saw that the entire land was made out of food, I was like, I wonder how long it's going to take until Luffy gets arrested for eating someone's home. And then we come here and Luffy is immediately in trouble for eating a business.
No, you got exactly what you were hoping for.
Pudding, I immediately liked her as a character, but she's incredibly sus. The second this biatch steps out, you're like, no, I'm sorry, Pudding. You are way, way too kind, considering where you came from.
Look, she's just a nice girl who wants to help.
Can I remind you that we already know she has a third eye and is a creepy little
Whoa,
gal?
we're gonna judge her for having a third eye? That's racist.
Racist?
I mean, yeah, the three-eyed tribe is a race in this world.
Okay, but not only does she have a third eye, she is also, planning on killing them and manipulates everybody.
Well, I mean, she does that too.
But other than that,
Don't judge a book by its cover, judge it by it trying to murder all your friends.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Lola turned out nice, and she's from this family, someone points out.
She also got away.
She did get away.
And I also think that she didn't understand how bad her family was.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, if you let my mom know that you helped me, she'll help you out.
And that's not what's going to happen here.
No. No, that's not it at all. That just ain't it, Chief.
And also on top of it, of that not being what's going to happen, she also said to her sister, like, yeah, she might be mad now, but she's my mom. She won't hurt me. And
Yeah.
then she famously looks like she kills her son within the first couple of seconds. I'm telling you, we already did this.
Yeah, we did
All
it.
of these chapters.
You read it live last week.
Sort
We
of
go
them.
over this every week. YouTube people don't know what you read live.
You know what? Just come to the live for God's sakes.
You can just skip ahead. People know.
People that went to a cafe, they found out the chick was pudding. She appeared to be okay. Everybody knew she wasn't. Sauce!
I know
They
so
ate
many
some
people
crap.
who were tricked by that betrayal, by the way.
When the fake Sanji led them in and just kept running away from them, they didn't think to themselves like, oh, it turns out pudding is the worst.
A lot of them know.
Oh, I feel sad for them because that would have. I immediately was like, nice try, bitch.
I mean, nice try with you. She did trick the Straw Hat crew.
Okay, you make a good point. He goes off, people separate, it is good. And now I race ahead. Oh, although I did like just, stop. I did like seeing, that was the sound of stopping.
Yeah.
I did like seeing Germa 66 live fighting in the war and the work that they were doing, if you want to call it work.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a really important side note about the power that they have. Felt a little Genghis Khan in the way that they get there and people already know who they are, so they give up before the fighting starts. You know, he would have a flag system and that you had to put up a certain flag and this is the amount of time that you have, and if you gave up, he would come in and destroy you. So I thought that was pretty cool to have that kind of a Genghis Khan moment.
Mm-hmm.
So then
keep it up.
We have the ragey bitch known as Big Mama. She rode because she wants croque boucher. And
Croquembouche.
Yeah. And she rages and she pulls things apart and she literally stands on a building like she is King Kong and eats things that have been infused with life and acts like the way that we have portrayed Marie Antoinette over the years, even though it was inaccurate and bullshit, but whatevs. We won't talk about that. Yeah, I would write it down because let them eat cake, MFers.
I write that down.
And then off comes her son and Charlotte Moscato. And he's like, no, mother. Please, you must stop. It is very important that you don't ruin the whole town. And she's like, treat life or treat. And this is the part where she famously rips out his soul and he falls to the ground. And
only most of his soul.
Well, up at this moment, too, don't forget, we do think he just is dead. And yes. Jinbei saves the day, but her son already has how much of his life taken away?
Oh, yeah, like, even though he's not dead, he's not well.
So how many years was...
I don't remember the exact number, but he's not going to be okay.
Let's just think about it this way. Yeah. She's a shitty parent. And if
they
had child services would be like, even though your children are now adults, we're going to take them away.
Like, I just want to ask you, what person is the world government employing for child services that they can successfully intimidate Charlotte Linlin? I want you to tell me, who are they sending?
That's a good point.
Where are we next? Where are we going? What's happened in the story?
We get our boy coming up, Jinbei. Old Jim comes up, and we get to see the whole background of how he wants to be a part of it, which was amazing because his whole crew down in Fishman are like, yeah, we know you love Luffy. You talk about him all the time. It really felt like a college boy or girl sitting in their dorm and having all of their roommates go, oh, really? You love them? That's shocking. You talk about them nonstop.
That's wild.
Wow, what? You love them. That's a secret that no one knew before. Thank you for that. And so it was pretty cool because I saw the crew that he was going to go off and make this big thing and be like, I'm sure she'll let me go. Why did he ever feel that way?
Well, and she's like, yeah, you can totally go. You spin the fucking wheel.
And I take all your life. Is Charlotte really all Fishman's side like it seems? Like, does her fishy side of her mean that she really is on the side of fishes?
Wait, you mean Charlotte Praline?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a fun game as we go. I said my third favorite character, their family name is Charlotte. I'm just going to tell you, not Charlotte Musquite, not Charlotte Praline. That is not my third favorite character.
Okay.
But yeah, Charlotte Praline, I think, is on their side just because she loves the Sun Pirates and loves Aladdin, her husband. I think that's all it is.
I also, but lots of people marry off and are still on the side of Big Mama because she has so much control and influence, right?
I think the Sun Pirates are just like a good group of people.
I'm just making sure that she's on that side. So we leave the poor man. He's dead. It turns out he's not. And we find out that she makes him spin the wheel of sadness. And honestly, the fact that you can go into 1,000 years and you have to steal years from other people in order to make up the years that you had, ridiculous. The sleeping ant getting stuck in the syrupy stuff was awesome too in the boat. I'm not going to lie to you. I hate ants. I love ants. I understand their power. They are mysterious and amazing. I hate them. They go in my home. And then I'm like, you are bad. Are you laughing at my hatred of ants?
Yeah. Literally, yeah.
So this is where I was like, see, I knew it. That girl is sneaky and sus. They get there and they see Sanji. I saw Sanji and Pudding. They're up there. No, you didn't. Like, that isn't how people meet you. Absolutely ridiculous and sus.
I feel like coming into this arc is immediately so terrifying because, like, we come in, Big Mom knows that Luffy's showing up, clearly has a plan territory. Like, she feels so ready for him in a way that even Dofi didn't to me. So when this happens, I'm like, oh, what is this trap?
She gave off the Wicked Witch of the West vibes right away because it was like she was looking in a crystal ball. She had all the information that they didn't have. She had monkeys that could fly out, and they immediately walked off a nice road into a strange forest just because it was Candyland.
This one chatter is right. Big goes on that one.
And so Same with the way that the Wicked Witch of the West does, only she uses a crystal ball and creatures of the forest there also speak and the trees are real, etc., etc. This one's just done in a different way. So as soon as they walked in there, I was like, yeah, we really are leading into that Toto thing. I know everyone calls it when they were like, oh no, get off the bridge. You need to go now. It is being eaten by a crocodile. And then the crocodile pops up with a little hat and suspenders and pants. Oh, I love me a crocodile in suspenders and pants, because also that looks like the dude that led Pinocchio astray in Pinocchio to the land of the Lost Boys.
That makes sense, because there are a lot of Disney illusions in this, so that works out.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I love that. They brought out the little dude who led our real boy astray. Oh, it's too bad that Usopp wasn't there. He's very Pinocchio and he would have loved that. But something they don't do in Oz is make you confront yourself. So that was brilliant. Having the doppelgangers come up and having that doppelganger witch make you confront yourself and create a creation of who you are and fight in your own ways. Oh, that was awesome. I really, really appreciated that.
Part of me wonders, though, if it only could do what Luffy could do as he was in that state. So I kind of wonder if Luffy had gone like gear second, if the mirror would be able to or not. Just a question that came to my mind.
You don't think it changes with him and his power is reflected? You think
It
that
might.
it has to do with reflecting who he was in one moment?
I have no idea.
Interesting.
Brulee's powers seem wild and hard to track the limits of.
I love the mirror because I love the mirror world.
Yeah.
I think that's a great addition.
Mirror versus Door is so difficult because like Mirror has tons of utility outside of the transportation, but the transportation is way more limited than Door because it can only go into where existing mirrors are. It can't like create its own custom openings out of nowhere.
So you travel, if you're traveling by mirrors, like can you travel over water if a ship off the coast that has a mirror?
Who's to say? We don't know yet.
No, these are the things I want to know. These are the things that interest me.
I think I'd take the mirror fruit over the Door fruit, even though the Door is crazy good.
And as the Door fruit goes into a dimension and the mirror fruit goes into a mirror world, where nary the two shall cross, I feel like there's a whole bunch of extra dimensional realms.
How many fucking pocket universes are there in One Piece?
I'm trying to say, like
the darkness and there's stuff that Caribou absorbed the swamp. Are those all different pocket dimensions?
It feels like you got to wonder, like, do we have one pocket dimension where all these things come from, or is this a multiple pocket dimension?
Something's going on at this island.
And you're like, what the hell? And then you're like, how many dimensions did you think there were? We're gonna have to share eventually. This just is what it is. Just walk to your next mirror and quit getting in my dumbass way.
Quit interacting with my sludge mermaids, okay?
It's really important that you don't talk to them.
Caribou goes to release the mermaids and he's like, they're gone.
Just go, horsey. It was so good for me. I also love Randolph, even though he's kind of a strange version of the bunny. I like his version more. He's like a Three Musketeers bunny, and I love it.
Oh, he's great.
Also, anyone smart enough to turn into a Luffy and make Luffy fight himself is smart, because Luffy is that definition of just doing the same thing over and over and expecting different. Charlotte, even though she was a daughter, just felt like another version of the witch, like the Wicked Witch of the East. Yeah, Brule just feels
Brule
like
got
Wicked
mad witch
East.
energy.
Yeah, like you can't tell me that chick ain't a witch. I'm not here for it.
I honestly kind of love Brulee's whole shtick.
I don't hate Brule. I also like when they wrap her up. I like when they're mean to her and she gets bullied. I like that.
This is the first Charlotte sibling. I'm going to say Pudding and Brule. I'm not going to rule out as options for my third favorite. I'm not just going to tell you those aren't it. They might be.
It's not Brule, because you would have put it there sooner.
All right.
To tear it to shreds. I also really liked that they did a full Germany call out by putting all the principalities of Germany on different giant Den Mushi snails.
It really gets the separate but united / Kaiser, whatever you want to call them, which is kind of a cool way to represent the fact that Germany, like the United States, is a united agreement between what were once considered separate cultures and entities.
It's really weird because in the US, states have so much individual power, like just a
compared to most countries.
amount.
Yes, there are ways that states have individual
amount.
powers that individual EU members don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting to think about it because I really do see the Den Mushi coming together in this way is kind of almost like the way the United States works. So it's kind of also a little separate, own rules, own ability to care for itself, but come together when they wings.
They have some level of autonomy to the point that Alberta got rid of the right to protest effectively, but you know.
Yeah, but not like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it does feel like a Germany thing by having these very clearly Nazi-inspired Germa kingdom who are a bunch of separate little princedoms that come together.
Where did you ever get the feeling that it was Nazi-inspired?
The banners, the eagles, the group based off of being a scientifically advanced kingdom, judges whole deal.
Okay, good.
Take notes here. Take notes. These guys are so Nazi inspired that they make Magellan look like not a Nazi.
No, they're so Nazi inspired that the Nazis called. They want their stuff back. To find out
Aryan
how much
superchildren,
Sanji is despised by his own family was so crushing. And then to find out the depth into which it went, including the point where they were like, where is Sanji going to live once he gets married? And the father is like, well, with us. And they're like, it'll be great to have Sanji live with us again. I was like, screw all of you. Let's fight. I'm going to kill you. My leg doesn't even turn to fire and I'm going to kick your ass. To see what he had to go through as a child and to figure out why it was that he had to leave and his family not even caring, his father being grateful that he left so that he did something. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, and you probably haven't because it's really subtle, but Oda loves to create really mean and sad backstories. When they put the little cuffs on Sanji, my whole heart broke. Because if you really can cuff a hand, which you can, we know you can, and blow up his hands, like, way to take away one of the one things that has given him comfort and hope his entire life. And to find out that he cooks because he was cooking for his sick mama. I mean, of course he was, because moms die.
Moms all die.
Wow, that's a great song. Thank you. I don't know if you heard this. I'm a mom. Your sister's about to be. Maybe don't be happy about it. And so my whole heart broke to think about how they used a thing that gave him safety as a weapon against him. Sanji, my sweet, sweet little pumpkin face. I turned out that I really enjoy Beige's wife, Charlotte Chiffon.
You're a big Chiffon fan?
Yeah, there's something about her. I just really enjoy it. She is who she is. She's not trying to be anything other than herself. And she's intelligent and she makes shit happen. I enjoy her. Beige is whatever. I do like that he just doesn't play the game where even though he's a bad guy, he doesn't feel like he needs to sit around and talk about how he's going to kill you. He just shoots you and you fall off a cliff.
Yep.
And I always appreciate when I don't have to hear 750,000 effing reasons why I'm going to shoot you. The whole wrap up so far with whatever. I really preferred when he ended up getting taken by Capone and became a member of the Mafia. I do like his new name and his new persona more.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you mean creepy gas guy? Are you talking about Gangster Gastino?
So I'm hoping Gangster Gastino stays around and we just kill Caesar Clown.
Caesar Clown is no more.
I think it's time for Caesar Clown to be a memory of the past, one that nobody is happy about and everyone's glad to see dead. I like, and when I say like, note that I'm saying as an icky person. I like Charlotte Prospero.
Charlotte Prospero is so contemptible.
Prospero. He is so gross that there's something about him that's a really good villain.
No, he's fantastic as a villain.
Also, he feels like wicked in a really special way, kind of the same way that Big Mama does. Kind of like super, super wicked in a cartoony way, yet somehow the cartooniness is scarier. I don't know how to put my finger on it.
Not my third favorite character, Charlotte Prospero.
Now this is, and then we're going to put a note into it.
Yeah.
Okay, Chocolate Town. Twice a year, the residents of this land of dreams, the land of dreams is really important. Write that down.
Write all of this section down. Take note of this section.
Just of everything. Okay, so twice a year, the residents of this land of dreams are posed a simple but and then this creepy ass little shadow reaches into her chest and pulls out a little bright circle. And you're like, what the shit is happening here? And then we go back into the woods where we see one of the kids' dads sitting inside of the ground. We underestimate the pairing of Chopper and our happy Run Bunny because they were glorious together. Like as far as pairing ups go, they really did the thing. They pushed each other to their limits.
I'm sorry, our happy Run Bunny though? That's the name we're going with for Miss Carrot?
For now. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It can change.
I'm not worried. I just need to make sure.
To the forest to the left and get some tasty apple juice. This is important, man. Blah, blah, blah. Finally, they get him to talk. I see. Well, I guess appearances aren't everything. That reindeer guy was amazingly huge, but the trees and the flowers still jumped on him without a second thought. It's like once then they calm down. How do they move? Anyway, every 6 months, every resident of Total Land has to pay the kingdom a month's worth of their soul in exchange for safety. Soul? It's your lifespan, basically. People who live here slowly give away their life 2 months of every year. That's like 1 year for every 6 that they reside here. How is that possible? Linlin, Big Mom, has the power of the soul fruit. P.S. This talk about people being able to take their fruit far and able to do amazing things. She will always be brought up within that list.
And yet, I think, this is a slight spoiler for second slice of whole cake. I think she's only the second most accomplished fruit user in this arc. We'll see.
But
We'll see how you feel.
At the end, but she has really taken this to the
absolutely. She is an incredibly skilled fruit user.
And being a skilled fruit user is something that I'm really coming to enjoy more and more when Oda, instead of making new exciting fruits, we're actually looking at the ability of a person to get creative with the use of their own fruit. I love that. I'm here for it every minute of every day. That's how these guys started walking and talking like that. They're called homies. Put a pin in it, chat. Right? Carbonations made out of pure soul. This is like the true nature of Totoland. We noticed that lots of odd things seem to be alive in this town of chocolate where we landed, so that explains it. So that's why the talking crocodile. And that human-like rabbit. Yep, that's right. Animals can be personified as well. Then what about them? Oh, those are something else. Brûlé uses her powers to turn them into people, but they are just animals. I think that is one of the wildest things I've ever seen. So we are stealing the soul of the individual people to create an entire other group of people. And then you would have to argue, because they do become human, because they have soul. And then who's in charge of them? Thank you for asking. That would be Charlotte Cracker. And what do we call him?
Chat? Take note. Take notes.
Master Cracker. It's amazing that Lola was so different. Do you think any of the other kids are also kind and thoughtful?
I think they're all unique individuals with their own wants and wishes.
Brûlé is on the one side, and Lola obviously is kind of on this one side, but the rest of them that we've met haven't been particularly excellent.
I can't tell you because I know whether the answer is yes or a no.
It is not a lie. I'm just going to look this up.
What are we looking up?
The forest that attacked people in The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, so there is a whole group called the Fighting Trees, and it's a whole thing. They did use, so Oda did use Right of the Seducing Woods. I was trying to see if I could find out the name of these woods as well, and they were the Killing Woods. The fight with Cracker, for me, was particularly incredible, and I don't know how other people felt about it, but the fact that Luffy and Nami worked together, and she used her powers for softening. But I loved this fight, and I also love that just when you think you're going to win, that we find out that there's a whole other level to Master Cracker and that there's more inside. What we see in the outside is nothing but a ruse. That was a fantastic fight and an excellent little like switcheroo at the end. I adored that section. I also adore that it turns out that the Viva card can stop the forest from attacking Nami, and she uses it as a powerful force. That was awesome. And see this attached to a door mention, or what could, because it's nut bar in here. I was wondering what.
Maybe some of them will have answers in part 2.
Are they?
I don't know.
I look forward to the cake getting ruined. Bitch ain't eating her cake. You can have your cake,
but she can't
eat it too. I'm wait till you see what I'm going to do. It's going to be hilarious. Which, like, why is that? Why is that your choice of how you're going to? Yeah, I will. Even though I don't think it's, necessarily the thing, I want it to happen. So I'm willing to make it happen in that way. And if Luffy could ruin the cake, it would make me feel so happy. Inside of the Nazi warehouse of the family was wild. He freaks out and chucks stuff at, threatening the Le Crappy chef, the old geezer. Like, it was just one thing after another thing. And then we go all the way back into Sanji's history. We find out about how he was locked alone and left there to rot, and that his father didn't want him. And then he finds the woman who's had the living crap beat out of her, the cook. And then he's introduced to the clones. That was one of the wildest ass chapters. 839 was just like, hey, do you want a lowdown on Sanji's family? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was like, bleh. It's just all of the things. Chopper, Beppo, Kumasi, Hiking Bear, Bartholomew Kuma eating honey like Pooh Bear. And I was so sad for all of the clones, which is, I know, kind of weird. We have a weird thing about clones, and I just want to put out there that the clones, obviously that has a lot to do with like Hitler's idea of a perfect race and how everyone would look the same.
Yeah.
But it also has to do with that other idea with the homies because of who they are and what they do for the family. So write that down.
Take note.
The Germa 66 people, clone people, and finding out about how they took all like these specific skills and these specific strengths and then have made an army, and how has nobody noticed,
Ooh, apparently parents living
Every generation of parents wants the best for their kids, but at the same time that they want the best for their kids, they also feel a little let down that they don't feel like the best was wanted for them. So they hug them. Meanwhile, our little Sanji is locked away and alone and wearing his silly little hood and just living this very separate, lonely life. It's just so upsetting. Oh. And then when he gives the food to his mommy, and she says, "How lovely. Scrambled eggs, fish, and bananas. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed it up." And she's like, "Let's give it a try. This is so delicious." Yeah, no, you're wrong. Don't do that or your kids will keep making you food. That's a dumb idea.
Good choices.
Yeah, she didn't have a lot of stuff out there. She got to get stuff done. I can't believe how big Luffy got in this one.
I mean, he had to eat all of the biscuits.
I love how they let us see a boon for us, but the biscuits were definitely not high in protein. They didn't do enough for him. I also like Brûlé chasing them through the mirror world. I'm like, oh my God, this could be such a problem. And then, nope, not a problem at all.
Yeah, just beat her up.
That technology of that weird mask thing that changes your face so you look good still, it's pretty good technology. Not gonna lie to you. They've got a lot good going on. All right, we're gonna have to talk about it. We're gonna have to talk about Sanji's managed to run their way all the way up. They're so excited, and there's Luffy with a smile of smiles. So Luffy, and he's like, "Sanji, I haven't seen you in a while." And then he's like, "What? He crossed her territory to get here?" And then Nami is writing, "It's Sanji, thank goodness we made it in time." And I knew it wasn't going to, "You should just decline Mamba's invitation while we got Nami and Chopper and Brook. They wouldn't take no for an answer." And so Sanji going out, "Get lost, you miserable, inferior pirates. My name is Vinsmoke Sanji, and I am a prince of the Germa Kingdom." And then they're like, "Do you need help? I'll drive him off." Ugh. I was like, no, not again. I don't want another Usopp moment. I am not here for this.
Like part Usopp, part Robin, because he's also being forced to do this.
Yes, it was so a combination of those two moments. But it also allowed Sanji, I mean, we're not there yet, but I think it's also going to allow Sanji to really kind of recollect himself and think about how happy he is to be there and how much this means to him. Mm-hmm. I love that he comes into his haki power and that his dad sees how powerful it is. And I love that no matter what Sanji does, Luffy won't fight him and then just declares to him, "Don't interfere, this is a duel," to Nami, and just takes the living shit of a beat down on himself. Then Sanji says Nami, smacks him across the face, "Goodbye, sorry for ever stepping our bounds." But then Luffy, "Wait, Sanji, what do you mean inferior pirates? You know you don't mean that. Do you really think you can drive me off like this? Don't be stupid. You can kick me all you want, but you're the one feeling the pain." And then when he says, "This voyage isn't over, I will be writing right here. And if you don't come back, I will sit here and starve to death. I mean, you're the cook for my ship, and I won't eat anyone else's food but yours. I'll just stand here and starve out in the rain and snow, waiting for you to come back. Come back, Sanji. Without your help, I can't become the king of the pirates." Damn! That was powerful. That was one of the most powerful chapters. I just felt it all the way down to my toes. Luffy just saying, "No, screw this crap. I have full belief in him. And if he doesn't come back, then I'm not going to win and I won't become the king of the pirates. So I might as well just lay my life down here because it won't matter."
I talked a lot about last time how we were just in a long section of story where it felt like Luffy was challenged because the question of leadership was put on his crew for how do you pick who to follow. Whereas now that we're back into a theme of leadership and responsibility, and now that we're up against an emperor instead of a warlord, Luffy is being challenged and his values and his worth are being challenged again. And he gets to be a dynamic character again.
I agree, and I love it. I also like how they use the bomb dude, who is the person who wrote Oz, as kind of an inside narrator of the piece, because Nami keeps asking it questions. So it's interesting that they made the writer have to explain his writing. You know what I mean? She says, "What's the matter, King Bong? The mountain is Whole Cake Chateau where Mama resides. She is in a tremendous rage now." And then King Bomb tells them all about what's taking place in Sweet City, that Prometheus and Zeus are wreaking havoc, and that Big Mama has, in her angry mood, warring her son and her weather or moon. I love
Sun
that.
and cloud. The flame is Prometheus and the cloud is Zeus.
It's interesting that they chose Prometheus. I really love that Luffy just lays in the grass and gives up. And I was surprised that he did ever get up. I was glad. For a while when Sanji was going back to that spot, I was like, oh my God, Luffy's not going to be there. Luffy never doesn't live up to his reputation.
So talking about Big Mom being angry, there's a lot of talk about why do numbers at all matter in One Piece, yada, yada, yada. If you're strong enough, it doesn't. Let's talk about the enraged army. There's a lot of conversation in One Piece fandom about like numbers don't matter at all, but enough people who are weaker can team up and start to matter, especially with an Emperor's crew where all of the homies have some weird, bizarre physiology that basically gives them superpowers. Like, I think the homies are by far the strongest mooks we've seen so far. And by mook, I mean like really low level soldier.
Yeah, he knows that the army of the enraged are rushing towards him, and he's just like, yep, oh well, it's raining. No, wait, it's syrup, so it's drizzling. I won't even let the syrup enter my mouth. I'll only eat Sanji's cooking. I don't care, Luffy. I can't get over the fact that you're being covered with sticky syrup. I can't. Yeah,
that's terrible.
I still can't. It makes me feel so disgusting and gross. Oh, ugh. Oh. As soon as they were like, it's raining. No, it's syrup. I was like, nope. Count me out, turn around, walking away. My neurodivergence could never.
I think most people would find being covered in syrup incredibly gross, neurodivergence or not.
I can't even think about it. Just think about how your hand feels when a tiny bit of honey gets on it. That's in his clothes. Actually, can't even talk about it. It is so gross. Can Nami please bring out her weapon and make her little shower thing right now? Because this is killing me. So the Prometheus thing, way weird, because Prometheus is supposed to be the one who's sticking up for humans, so it just feels strange that they would make it Prometheus. They should have made it like anyone else, actually. Anyone else except for the person who... No, but Oda puts a lot of meaning in names.
Yeah, makes sense that she would pick like a bringer of light for humanity as the name for it.
No.
All right.
I mean, yes, I can feel that she would be like, I am creating equality and equity and happiness in a blessed society, even though she collects different people, which is not really equity so much as a open and living zoo. But yeah. No, it should have been like...
Hey, chat, write that down, by the way. Take note of that one.
Just should have been Apollo.
Apollo's a good one.
Whoever said that was right. Or... Icarus gets too close to the sun, so not. Helios, yeah, Vulcan, yeah, any of those. Yeah, any of them. Okay, Mama, the head chef won't let me use a knife, and I just want to cut open my dolly. Dolce, Draghi, give her a knife. No, Mama, if you give Anana a knife, she'll try to pop the balloons. That's right, she's wicked, I tell you. I'll kill her one day. They shouldn't use those wicked words, should they, Mama? Everyone's got 100 or 200 people they want to kill. Just find a way to get along, my children. It really describes her parenting in a couple of panels. That's everything. If you saw her take the life out of her son, and then this part where she's talking to her children and one of them wants a knife, and that's her explanation, and rather than getting upset that her son wants to kill her daughter, she's just like, people want to kill people. Don't worry about it. You're like, there you go. And now, congratulations. You've seen her parenting style in a nutshell.
She's such a good mom. She's encouraging their interests. She promotes their passions.
Also, honey, get some, boy. I'm so sweet. Please quit seducing me. Like, could you eat...
To fulfill its purpose in life.
It's so uncomfortable.
How much needs to be eaten before it stops talking? No way. It dies. It dies in the stomach acid for sure.
Does it?
For sure. Where do souls go when people die? The afterlife. I genuinely didn't get to go to the afterlife.
But you don't generally swallow souls, Drock.
No, but you do, because these are creating living life forms from the souls. It's the same as if you like ate a live frog, or the soul goes to the afterlife.
Oh, I hate this thing so much. It's so gross.
If you eat a live frog, its soul go to the afterlife, right? So at least in a world that has an afterlife.
Yeah, I'll allow it. Makes me wonder if they would absorb it, and it gives them literally like this person puts soul food, but I literally other things. Does she eat these things because then she gains some of the soul and makes her life longer?
Possibly.
That's what I kind of wonder.
But like, with how powerful Big Mom is, what does an average person's soul do to Big Mom? Like, I feel like the lifespans aren't 1-to-1 there.
It's not about the single ball of soul. Power is the book, dude.
It's a weird one, but yeah.
And that's another dimension.
Well, no, because it's just the book. It just flattens them.
It's a book, but things stay alive within it. So it's its own kind of thing. Ew. And the chick grabbing Nami, which I told you I hated with my entire heart, and putting its hand down her boob to pull.
Ow. Paladin Berserker Jedi has a point that Virgo might have been the DNA donor for the original clone, since one of the types of clone soldiers looks a lot like Virgo.
The Minister of Juice might be one of the craziest, most terrifying.
Anders, I specifically told you last time. First, not a spoiler in a while, if you don't like someone squeezing someone like a cloth, there's a character you're gonna hate next arc.
She is awful.
Let me tell you, Smoothie, one of my favorite designs. Love her. Great.
She is a great bad guy, but the thing she is capable of doing, the squeezing out of life essences into a glass. Did you see the giraffe?
And giraffes are awesome.
This has been established within this story. I was crushed for the baby giraffe. Poor baby.
I will say, just so you know, not going to rule her out as possibly my third favorite character.
Well, I don't understand why you're not telling me your third favorite character.
Because it's a guessing game we play every time, and this is the last time we get to do it. My rule has always been for this guessing game, the first time we mention my character, that video I have you guess.
I love her tattoo, though.
Her design is amazing in general. It's very good.
And her hat sucks, but I'm kind of here for it.
Her hat is so dumb, but it kind of works.
Yeah, only on her. And I hate the egg guy, but I kind of like his whole deal.
Maryphile, we don't know if Smoothie is a member of a tall race like giants or something, or if she's just human, but by the look of her and her triplets that she's sisters with, I think she's probably Longleg tribe. That's my guess anyways.
Where's Longleg tribe from? Because I was thinking Longland would be a good place.
Yeah, she's half Longleg tribe. Great design, big Smoothie fan, think she looks great. Out here juicing giraffes, it's horrifying. She is an eldritch nightmare.
Pedro and Brooks pair up could not have been better. They should high-five each other all day. Hope they're both very proud of themselves. Brooks sending his soul off to take a little recon, know what was going on. Then the choice afterwards for them to go off and about, created a distraction, and Pedro giving up his time so that he could create a distraction. Delight. They did so well.
I just want to highlight quickly how many people in chat have said that Smoothie could juice them. Y'all...
different characters and how they get flattened out. I keep thinking about how even when they're flat, they maintain their soul and they maintain their essence, so they know they're closed with inside of a book. Like, what a punishment. What a prison that would make.
Yeah, like a lot of things in this arc, very f***ed up. Hey, unfair, brutal prison system. Write that down, chat. Take note.
And then the ability to turn a page and open the book and have it cut away the way that you would store, say, a gun. And it is a prison. It's just page after page of talking to Big Mama over the speaker. Big Mama, who almost beat me out as best Mama, even though, she is terrifying as shit.
Luffy's been grinding levels. He's pretty sure he's got this.
Yeah, just absolutely terrifying. He's wrong. He's got nothing. I can't wait to see the box. Don't we already know what's inside of this box?
We know bombs in the box. We didn't see it go off, but we know that both ministers snuck bombs into it as a trap.
I can't wait to see what kind of a bomb is in this box. How big will this expansion be?
Explosion?
All explosions are expansion.
I mean, technically, yeah. It's a rapid expansion of gaseous material inside a contained space that leads to the space bursting. That is definitionally an explosion.
Exactly.
Feels like you could just say explosion.
I could. Okay, let's get into it. They better not be after my Tamate box. Well, you know what? Pedro and Brooke going in there, creating the distraction, Brooke getting all the way through, and him saying, okay, so there are far fewer of you than I saw earlier. Brilliant work, Pedro. Well, here's a really odd creature, even for this country. I agree. Mama will be delighted with him. I've heard about you from Pedro. You chess peacekeepers are soldiers with human souls and guitar. That was brilliantly written. What a great little thing into the Soul King being able to move their souls so deeply.
So powerful in this island.
And that's the thing that we were talking about before, about Oda's ability to go steep and deep. Instead of just adding new thing, going deep into the things that are here. Like, Brooke is really, but Brooke has soul.
Something of a soul man. He's a soul man.
I love the insert. This is not going to go well. I wanted to let you know that Sanji has proposed to me. What? It was a wonderful feeling. But I know he's just being considerate. My presence here is causing pain to everyone. Don't worry, I'm not going to marry him. Listen close. Her evil plans of what she's going to do. Oh, and when Luffy starts ripping his...
This is the most fucked up thing I've witnessed today, and that is saying so much.
And that's saying so much. I can get them off. I also like that when they knock over the water inside of the Mirror world, that the water is the thing that takes her out, just like the Wicked Witch of the West. Like they just keep pulling things in and putting them
It's
everywhere.
so true. Oh my god, full of allusion to fairy tales and folklore.
And lots of Oz.
Look, there's a lot of Oz in here. Maybe the tree, while it is German for tree, also is named after the guy who literally wrote Wizard of Oz.
Maybe. It was so perfect the way that Chopper teamed up with Carrot. I love when she bites him, Garchu, and bites him and then uses them and they go into all the different places. I was like, this is such a pairing. These two are killing it. High five to you. And then like, I asked my partner to risk death itself for me. Pedro, will you be my decoy so that I could get into here? I have no face.
God, Brooke is so funny.
And I just loved this in between the two events. And I was like, no.
It's so Emperor is Brooke. Would you have ever imagined that?
I never would have put Brooke as the one who went in first.
Now, did he win? No, he didn't win. He got what he wanted. He didn't win the fight.
Yeah, I think, though, that if I'm going to be honest, I see that his whole objective was to get these Ponteglyph pressings. So in that case, I'm going to call it a win.
He defeated Big Mom. He didn't beat her in a fight.
And I think that's what matters.
Calling her young lady, though?
Oh, that was amazing. Captain Pedro of the Nox Pirates. As an adversary, I've always respected your skill, Baron Egg. And now, when we meet face to face, the scars over your eyes twitch with rage. Now tell me, why would the man who clung to life so fiercely 5 years ago return to repeat his mistakes? This was amazing because their fight, you were like, oh, it's going to go on and all these different ways. And you think you know what it's going to happen. When the egg got smashed and he was like, and now he will turn into this. And he's like, or wait a minute, dynamite. Boom. Turn into what?
While he's transforming, just putting dynamite on him, like, I'm done with this. That's so good. If Dofi was willing to give that disrespect of, like, Luffy goes to bite his arm and Dofi kicks him, like, I ain't letting you power up.
It would have been so funny. It gave a lot of Indiana Jones. The fight between them was just glorious. So watching him take out the dynamite and just be like, oh, did you think I was just going to sit around for the rest of the night and watch you transform? And now we are watching Pudding. And who is Pudding with? Reiju. Just watching her come into this place and have Sanji's sister finally see the depths to which her family is evil and dirty, because when she's confronted with this evil dirtiness, she literally sees like, holy shit, which is a really interesting thing because Mir kind of becomes a theme throughout this piece, that you need to look deeply at who you are and see who your family, your nation, your people actually are, instead of pretending he's the mirror of her own evilness and her family's own evilness, and decides, no, we deserve to die.
Chat, take notes. Take notes, chat. Chat, take notes.
And so when he realizes, I am trapped within this piece, what can I do to get out of it? And meanwhile, he's in his own wallowy place. His sister is also in her own place. And her place is realizing that because her family earned it, it should have to happen to them. Okay, we go back into the mirror hall. They're roaming around trying to figure it out. We find out that she can literally roll memo fruit. Oh, wow. That is next level. Because all that we are is story, right? All that we are is story. All that we are is what has happened to us, what we remember, the people who were linked to us. And she can take that story and change it. So change who you are.
Take away your greatest strength, the things that motivate you. Your world where emotion and willpower literally make you stronger. Judge is an absolute dumbass to be like, yeah, I want emotionless killing machines from superpower of this universe in exchange for different superpowers. They could have both superpowers, you dumb bitch.
Absolutely. Why would you ever want to take away passion in a place where passion is your ultimate motivator, because it is the thing that shapes your will? Also, there's a bunch of other things. Your ability to empathize can be twisted, right? Like empathy doesn't mean bad criminals and really bad torturers actually do the best job. Well, nope. I'm on Team Luffy and I am going against Mama, which is going to have all sorts of consequences.
I want to just highlight something really quick about that he, in telling him to take the expected route of violence. Write that down, everybody. Take note. Let's move on.
I liked Nami's second outfit too. It was fine. It's also very Dorothy.
True.
So Luffy gets up. He's all strength personified. Rah! I'm the strongest Luffy. We thank each other. I feel hungry. Are you usually hungry like this all the time? I'm not complaining. I don't want to eat anything. And now we see the consequences of his. Be like, yeah, 100%. Why would you lie? That's stupid. That would make no sense. I fully, completely trust that this is what you heard and that she took this. And then when Sanji is worried about her, she's like, no, forget about it. Don't worry about me. You've got some sappy, sentimental people, and that means me as well. I've been trained and raised and created to believe, to listen to our way about his mom. She was truly happy over how you turned out. He's the sweetest boy in the world. To have Sanji being told by his sister, of course you're not a failure. Mother gave you her life in resistance to protect you and the emotions you were born with. That's what you stand for, Sanji. It's why you were born. Kinder and gentler than anyone. I would ask, get it? Blowing smoke up his ass?
Because they smoke.
Yeah, because of the Vin smoke.
Yeah.
This isn't a person who's blowing smoke up Emily, who sees the pain and suffering they caused, who's that it is a really big deal that their mother sacrificed what she did so that Sanji could be the who Sanji is, means that finally there's somebody alive in his family who can tell him, I'm glad you were born. What a big deal.
That's really beautiful.
I love that Big Mom turns bony dude and acts like that's a cuddly thing. Only
She's
Big Mama.
So wild, and I kind of love it about her that she's like, yeah, this skeleton guy's adorable. I want him to be a teddy bear.
This is my teddy bear now. But Mama, I said teddy bear. It made me so happy that when all was said and done and they came up with their amazing plans at Vengeance and they're moving their way through the Mirror world and they meet up with Chopper Carrot, meet up with the Nami group, it made me so happy that within the time that Luffy was like, I need to get back to the spot. That Luffy had his own separate agenda and he's like, yeah, we'll fight, we'll do all these things, whatever, but I need to get back to my spot. Big Mom had to get naked in front of Brooke to change her PJs. Big Mom panties, and he's seen her naked. She probably has wonderful breasts. The squishiest ones we've seen yet.
Cup size wise, I think someone did the math and it's one of the biggest, but not the biggest because cup size is in ratio to chest width. Someone did the math on all the One Piece girls, and I think, oh god, I think Boa was up there and Viola was up there. No. Zoro's only the biggest if you measure width of the tit compared to the ratio. If you compare the cup size, Zoro's nowhere near the biggest. There's a lot of ways to measure a breast.
How does this always devolve into tit talk?
Have you seen what we're reading?
Did you listen to our last freaking YouTube? It should be called My Mom Talks About Tits. You're welcome, squishies. Okay. The gag where everyone keeps going in Big Mama's room and taking away Brooke over and over and over again, that's a decent gag. That was great. And at first I was like, why are you switching the Brooke thing out? And then I realized, that's actually good. She probably will just think she killed the dead thing. But attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And the reason that I wanted to bring it up is because now we are going into Brooke. They get Brooke out.
Brooke.
What is this? You don't mean... Why are those poneglyph copies? Of course, just in the nick of time. Right when I'd finished up the third sheet, who should appear but Big Mom herself? You got it all after all? Oh, yes. Ugh, Brooke, you underplayed hero. This is amazing, they all say. Like, tell me that's not like...
This is such MVP behavior. Brooke low-key, like, the thing they were thinking they had to give up on that they wouldn't get from this mission, and Brooke's like, yeah, I did it. What do you think? Who do you think you're talking to?
It's me, Brooke. Yo, I just went and got some poneglyph. No big deal.
No big deal. I did it on my own. Yeah, no need to thank me. I'm just good.
Like it's a big deal?
In front of an emperor, under her nose, she didn't notice, and then I gave her the disrespect.
And called her young lady. It was so good. I love when Sanji at the end of 855 comes out and sees frickin' Luffy there, absolutely laid waste, and realizes that just as he suspected, Luffy lives up to what he said he would do. Hasn't eaten since he told him he wouldn't. And the type of life that the food gives Luffy, and the reason that I picked this, is Luffy, the food, by the way, looks just as gross as the food that he gave his mom. Luffy eating it, how fast Luffy comes back to life and resilience from his food, feels like it's more than the food. It is because it's Sanji, and that their connections as friends are different, that he's fed not just through the calories, but he's fed fed through the love of his cook.
Aww.
I'm glad that they made the food comparable to the food that he'd given his mom, because it really showed that Luffy has become his captain the way that his mom, when he was little, was. That we had this Robin moment with him when he talks about his family and he says, here are all the reasons I can't go, and he gets to first of all, second of all, third of all. Oh, thank you for asking. He gets super hit in the face by Luffy, and then Luffy does the exact same thing to him that they did to Robin. Tell me how you really feel. And then Sanji thinks about everything. Let's eat. All right, who made this? Luffy, I want to go back to the Sunny, but I just don't have the guts to run away. Once the ceremony stops, I can't stop any of it on my own, and yet I still want to save my stupid scumbag family. And I don't even think of them as family. Of course, because that's who you are. But you've got us. Let's crash this wedding. That's one of the things that made me happiest in this entire section of the arc. It was such a special moment to watch the two of them come there. I love watching each one of our Straw Hats get to reflect on their life and where they fit in Straw Hat universe. And how stupid it would be if they just all came together and they were like, that's it, we're best friends for life, yay! Their own moment where they actually have to kind of like re-opt into the Straw Hats and fight to be a part of it really means that following this passion and dream and reconnecting the world and creating the All Blue and making Luffy a pirate king is just, it becomes everyone's goal and dream. And it's kind of amazing. I also love that they get to see into the Mirror world on the tiniest little shack in the wedding. And we'll save Sanji's family. And then after that, Sanji's coming back. And they're all like, big mums. Luffy, she's an emperor of the sea. I don't want my selfishness to expose them, to expose Nami to danger. And then everyone in the background, yippee! Jeez, man, I heard you had a huge fight with Luffy. I was so worried, dummy. I'm adorable. But more importantly than Nami, I will never forgive you. And the words are turned into an arrow that go right through his soul. But I can forget that for a moment. The point is there's not much time left. And we are not leaving without you on board. Oh, Straw Hats. I just want to hug you all the time. And when they create their amazing fight, I originally thought when we were seeing Capone Beige that Luffy was going to be like, I can't unite myself with somebody that shot my friend off a cliff. But I forgot the first time that I met Pom Pom, he was just Big Mom's soldier, Pom Pom.
Yeah, and it's so far from Peckham's, it is replacing Peckham's in my brain. I can't remember his real name.
That just makes me proud. They've come up with this great plan and they have all these people involved. Oh, yeah, I'll join that. Just like nowhere. They're trying to convince him. So Luffy, Sanji, will you team up? And everyone is like, no, he's probably not going to go for it. Actually, you've got a point, says Luffy. And just immediately goes, let's do this, biatch, and is a part of it. I was kind of like, oh, that was surprising. And that showed a different side of Luffy. And I think we have some talk about Luffy being the same all the time. And you know that I believe he's a changing character who's becoming more well-rounded.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool moment because I thought it changed the way in which Luffy deals with things. It was more like how he used to passively sit back and people would fire bullets at him. And then he would be like, I'm going to move or just let them spring. And then when he was taught, or you could aim them, you dumb turkey.
Fire back. You're full of bullets.
Fire back with them. Now, and he's going to do this, and then he's like, well, that meets our same goal. So aligning with Beige is just using a force of nature that's already going in our benefit. And so I just adored this.
Can I bring up that you called me? You called me to be like, why isn't Luffy going to go along with this assassination plan? It's so smart, and it's a way to get rid of Big Mom.
So brilliant. Why isn't he going to do it?
And I was like, dummy, keep reading. He's about to.
It was literally the next panel. The meeting, once again, they have another panel where they're like, let's show Nami in the shower. But this one, he did the cheekiest thing where there is no bubbles over Nami's nipple. And somehow we still can't see her nipple. But you see what I'm saying? Katu sees it. Thank you, Katu. I was like, this beyond.
That's definitely not Steam. That is just choosing not to have a nipple drawn yet.
Very different thing.
Look. Nipple placement is not consistent. It's always on the same bilateral lines, but it's not like always on the same height. so there's a chance that she has very low nipples or just a
Nope.
very small nipple right where that water is. However,
Nope.
most likely he chose not to draw it, and that's exactly where the nipple would. It does
That's
feel like
exactly what it is.
it does feel like
I
the
was
most
like-
likely nipple territory is exposed. We're in tits information.
Also, no, real women don't always have them symmetric. Yeah, that's true, Jelly. But have you met Oda? You think
Default body plan, that's where they are.
especially in One Piece, honestly, because he often draws nips through clothing.
That's not something I notice that often, but makes sense.
Yeah, we're off of nipple. I love how Luffy wears his freaking fedora over his straw hat. It's just ridiculous. I just love it. It's so good. And Nami's dress, incredible. And even though we had to have tit talk to do it, I'm glad that Nami showered, because let's keep in mind, Capone Beige is right. Like, those rat bastards were out in syrup rain. You needed a shower. It had to happen. And I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but even though the whole Caesar joke, that is Caesar, that isn't Caesar. And then Luffy, no, it is, I knew it. But Gangster Gastamo, oh, move along because I want to talk about some stuff.
Not tits?
And I want to, no, not boobies. The talk that they have, and when they decide that they're going to pair up and like each other, and the poison gas shells and all the different things that are involved. And it's a great plan. It's simple. I could see why they're doing it. The Mother Caramel, really great idea.
To her being alive, I want to point something out actually real quick.
Is it that a man only dies when he's forgotten?
No, it's that her name is Mother, and it's One Piece.
Yeah, that is a very good point. But
Right.
you know,
was lucky enough to have grandchildren before she was met by the Straw Hats and the audience.
which is why your sister's going to be okay, because her dog had puppies.
I just think she's gonna be okay because One Piece laws don't apply to reality.
Just in case.
I think
Wants to go into One Piece.
she shouldn't. We got to tell her not to. She had to
Yeah.
not have kids if she wanted to pursue the dream of entering famous hit manga series One Piece. Now it's over. It's Jover in there for her. But her having kids means you.
Skeleton is dead. I know it's sad, Mama, but today's the day of the big party and the wedding cake. I cannot wait until if it makes you feel better, we sing in one voice. I really do like that Pom Pom is so upset and they just keep holding back the information that they're about to attack.
Hey, you were wondering who makes the newspaper? It's a bird. It's a man. It's Big News Morgan's, the Birdman.
So can you tell me? Okay.
All we know is he's probably not world government because he's hanging out with a bunch of criminals.
Yeah, but look how rich he is. He definitely has influence above and below
Oh,
ground.
He has insane influence. He's the guy that makes the newspaper.
He's not from the same island as our carrot because they don't seem to be taking any kind of credit for this dude. And he's not from the bird island where Chopper was.
That island didn't have bird people. It just had big birds and people.
Big birds.
The answer to what he is answered. It's just not answered in SBS for a while, but it's in his hybrid form.
Oh, okay. I don't blame him. If you're looking for the news, he obviously has a lot of influence, but he can get anywhere he wants to be. He can drop in unexpectedly and pretend to just be a bird if he's not wearing his clothes.
Oh yeah, and because he's always in his hybrid form, if he went into his human form,
As himself in normal clothing and just be whatever the hell he wants.
fly in this form, that might be a lie, and maybe he can fly in his full animal form. I love the pointing out, what if we've already seen him? We don't to your conclusion.
Not only can you, I encourage it.
We'll do plugs and then do it.
Hey there, YouTube. Welcome to subscription time. You're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, is this my day? Yes, it is your day. Why is it your day? Because you subscribed. You pressed like, you rang the bell, everything went well for you, and it saved you from hell. See, that was a proper rhyme. Are you happy now? And then everyone rejoiced. Rejoice, rejoice, for we are part of the Drock Show. And now we will be happy until we see when it comes on. That is an absolute truth. You have done the right thing and you feel good in your heart. What next? Become a Patreon. What? No. Yes, do it. Do it now. Do it now. Make yourself proud. You will hear such things as Mama Drock leaves and dies of getting herself killed by her own muscles. Other things such as Mama Drock wanted and goes straight to the top of the charts. If you are a Patreon, we will sing the song of happiness. Be happy, happy. Joy, joy, joy. And then, what next can you say? There can be no more. Wrong, wrong. For you get access to all the pictures that have ever occurred in high definition. All this for the low, low price of like $4.
It's like 4 Canadian, it's 3 US.
$3. But more importantly, there is someone on here who said, subscribe button, he will be not just wrong, but very wrong. Be happy, happy. Joy, 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 joy. Oh, I need to do my second one. 3, 2, 1. Hi there, YouTube. I'm sorry for Unhinged Mama Drock. She can be a lot, and I apologize that you had to be a part of that. And as a slight restoration.
So I want to list off the things I've told you guys to take notes. Here's some info. We ready, everybody? There are some Nazis here. Acknowledge that people are giving a portion of their lifespan to be able to live here. Acknowledge that the state is acted and transparent violence in exchange for the safety it provides. Some notes that we did so by marrying into this lineage and this family. Think about the idea that we have people talking about unity, but having an about these facts of this area. And now I want everybody to think about what Oda is critiquing, and I want to see if people can land on it before Mama gets into it. It's not just those who don't fit in are becoming an invisible, abused underclass. This is something different. It's very transparent. Oh! Big arms, no legs, got it. It's neoliberalism.
Nice.
Let's get to it. I haven't seen a country like that, only pirate crews before.
Exactly, which is a really good point, because if you don't have that, you would never come to the conclusion. And so I was looking at that and thinking about it moving everyone together and wants them to live in what she says is peace and harmony, except for, okay, who's building that? So who were the first people who we kind of think of as people who were called homies? And I started to think that this might have been a look, melanin depleted, but Cracker's term for white people, and that's a melanin depletion. And so when I saw the Master Cracker come out with a whip, taking care of all the homies, and how the homies are what is leading this entire background of this nation, and then you have these people in the background who are the backbone of their society, but they don't get thought of, and nobody puts them in place, despite the fact they have actual souls inside them, and therefore are living. And then somebody takes care of them all, named Master Cracker, who comes out with a whip and moves everything through. So it's also other people within society. Yeah, this person said, as a Mexican, I love that they are called homies. I agree, but it's talking about anyone who's kind of in a society who is in an underclass that isn't being seen as the same level as human as other people, and together and live with each other, and there's harmony, and all the people are like, you've got to put up with a few greedy things. And
in this world, are people free to live the kind of life they want as an average civilian? Not very many, but in Tataland, they are at a literal cost of their life.
That when you are a person who is liberal, you've got your lower class who people just walk, blah, 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 and then the liberals are like, oh, they can totally come. And what's the thing that they say all the time? It's not like they're going to take your job in a corporation. They're going to fill those jobs that you don't want. And that is a liberalist sentiment that's made time and time again, as if that's a good thing, rather than saying when they come to our nation, we will help build them up.
Yeah, the undesirable jobs that everyone acknowledges hold up society, but are seen as the jobs for the underclass, which is what the homies represent.
Yes.
Nailed it. Holy shit, yes.
And then you get into the fact that you have your whole middle class, and what is the middle class doing? They're having some of their soul sucked away from them. Literally, it costs your soul to not recognize the people for this society. So a third of your life is spent in work for this nation to exist, which is just the same thing to hold the nation up. And that's in every country.
But someone is saying right now that, like, sure, he's international, but like reading this as American is a very American perspective. There's American influence in here for sure. Lots of it. And we'll get into more. Liberalism is a globalist philosophy by default. The reason I read this as Mama Drock is right about Franco being an inspiration for ideals, it isn't neoliberalism because there's no democracy here. This is an allegory for the social ideals of neoliberalism, just like we got with fascism with Dressrosa. In this case, in Whole Cake Island, neoliberalism is represented well through America. That's why there's a lot of American influence, but it's not just American. It's not a uniquely American thing.
I want to talk about that. We know that he's leaning into some of the things that are American, and he's talking about the end of populism because he's used references from The Wizard of Oz, such as naming the tree Baum, which is the name of the person who wrote The Wizard of Oz, having a yellow brick road, doing the different witches.
As a critique of the end of populism in the US.
Do you want to tell them your research about it?
Because Mama knew about this and of the direction America was going as populism was leaving. Things like the wizard himself representing the president, the witch representing the bourgeoisie, the Tin Woodsman was outright by Baum, that's what the Wizard of Oz was meant to be about. So I absolutely agree that him being drawn on so heavily for this arc is part of this arc being a critique of liberalism.
Because for many years, people were all trying to follow the yellow brick road, and he talked about it because people used to think in the old country that the US was the place where the streets were paved with gold, which is why he chose the yellow brick road, going over and expecting to have this specific kind of life, and then finding out that the two things didn't actually meet up. And so it was really interesting when they talked about here, do you want to continue to live this dream? Do you want to live in the dream? You have to ignore the fact that the entire country was created on the back of slavery. It was. I'm not saying maybe. I mean, it just was. It's a fact. And you couldn't have gotten to be a rich country unless you had free labor. Do you think you're alone?
Liberal state is dependent on extracting resources from poorer countries. And such an incredible metaphor that this country that's dependent on slave labor of an underclass that exists to be exploited and literally devoured, consumed by the wealthy. The middle class has to give their soul to live here, but it's a double metaphor because they also have to give their lifespan. They get all this safety, they get all this food, they get all this of the state, but you'd never really have a choice because the alternative is unlivable. How could you safely leave Tataland? You would just be sailing out into the ocean. No ships are leaving. No one's taking you. The Big Mom pirates aren't going to take you. You would be guaranteed to die. But there's this manufacturing.
After 1887, Germany and the US both had almost identical systems of governing in the form of imperialistic expansion. Both of the countries were spreading across and trying to take over different places in order to have primary resource extraction and be the people who were responsible. He chooses to connect Germany, which are all the big den mushi who come in and click themselves together. And then you have to admit that both those countries who claim to be liberal, and he uses the US as a benchmark for it, but he means every liberal nation. He means England. Exactly.
France, you are not blameless.
And then and then you also think about, well, we just had a movie recently that came out, Oppenheimer, about how we use German resources and scientists, and we use those scientists absolutely scathing look at neoliberalist people claiming that they have others, both within their own country, in lower classes, in people that were once enslaved, in people that come over scientific might and power with a neoliberal don't get for yourself anymore. It's a brilliant thing.
It is Trump, and I don't think Big Mom is Thatcher, like people are saying in Hody. That wasn't one-to-one, obviously. It's just Hody was meant to be about the hate that builds, that leads to fascist ideologies in a people. Dofi was meant to be a stand-in for fascist leadership, well, the social values of it. Big Mom is not a president. She was not elected. She is no specific elected official. She represents the idea of liberalism and both its positives. Yes, people in Tataland are fed and safe and protected, but the hypocrisies of liberalism, they have all that by the exploitation of others.
Exactly. They are ravaged. They are killed. They are used as an unpaid army.
Fake trials with false information, or how the German government would just shoot people in the back of the head out behind a shed and not tell anyone that they did it. But the violence of a liberal state is agreed to. It is always contractual. All of what you're giving and what is being taken is understood and accessible. It was willingly given by manufactured consent. There isn't really a choice. Your choice is to give your lifespan or die without the help of Big Mom floating in the ocean somewhere. Once you come to Tataland, you are forced to give your soul.
Like here, yeah, but that's taxes instead of money. They're literally taxing people's life.
Lifespan in forced work.
Exactly.
Taxes don't take your lifespan.
I don't know how much Americans talk about this because I'm not American. I know what my American friends talk about, but in Canada, something that we talk about all the time is how many Americans are actual, and I'm not, with medication. You can no longer, yes, the golden handcuffs. When we talk about golden handcuffs, we talk about being afraid to leave our job because we have such a good pension with it that it'll be difficult to work another job and how we make our pension match up. But because our medical system and our work system are highlighted here because it's their life that's tied to their country.
And there is who is forced to do work or die. And we'll get into later when we do our One Piece of Political video about what Oda thinks a good relationship with your work is. Because every philosopher, every political philosopher believes that work is necessary for society to function. Like the whole anti-work thing, that's not what Oda is getting at. But today we're just going to talk about what he's criticizing, which is liberal culture, liberal social values, and the idea of giving your life to your job.
And it's interesting because it's not like he's saying that everything about it is bad. He's saying people are blind to what it costs, and that we're pretending that there's no costs, and that it's like, if you're liberalist, you're on the side of right and good, and if you're a non-liberal, then that's when you don't care about people. And he's saying there's so much hypocrisy within that. And the Nixon pointed out the thing I was going to say. Big Mom is a huge military maker.
Yep.
She is the epitome of weaponry.
Yep.
So you know that if you're behind her wall, you're quote unquote safe. She might kill you. She might take away your education. She might randomly go off. The state might go off and kill all the homies at will, say rampaging while singing a song and eating and killing homies as they will. But you might not die, and you're more likely to be safe from outside forces.
Someone asked us in Fishman Island with a write-up to talk about what themes we want talked about. I said I wanted Oda to talk about the liberal hypocrisy where the violence of the state is considered justified and necessary, but any other violence is bad. They fucking do that because Luffy hurts no civilians beating up Cracker and takes him out, defeats Cracker. Homies are only ever destroyed in that by Big Mom's own forces. Luffy doesn't kill the homies. He just beats up Cracker, and an army comes to crush him, but Cracker killing and abusing homies, Big Mom having Amande, all of that is considered a necessary violence of the state that gets no repercussion, but Luffy is seen as a violent monster for the violent act of fighting the state in revolutionary violence.
And then Para is right. Luffy has a peaceful protest hunger strike.
Oh my God, he does. He actually has a form of peaceful protest in this arc.
And I think that anything isn't done in a perfect way. I think that he's not saying that every aspect of this is bad. He's saying, like, this is a dangerous world. People are in a dangerous state. You could see why they would want to be behind the protection of Big Mom. You could see why they would be afraid of other places, especially when they're not getting free and easy information, because the information at this point in the story is so controlled by one group.
There you go. We promised for a very long time to conservative viewers that we were just reading the material, and if there was a critique of a non-conservative political ideology, we'd talk about it. Liberalism got dunked on by Oda. We are just reading the story as it is, and the more of these observations we came to find, the more I was like, yeah, this is so fucking clearly intentional.
Here are my hopes for the next section of this cake, the other half of the cake. I'm hoping for sure, given who we've seen in here hiding within the crowds that are coming inside, that we are going to have some of our Luffy Straw Hat ships come in and help us out. But I think it's kind of early, like we just made an armada.
Yeah, it feels a little too early, and since it's tomorrow, probably can't get him in time.
So I'm thinking that's a very unlikely thing. But when Luffy jumps out of the cake, it's all going to be worth it. Your top 3 Charlottes. I think your favorite Charlotte is the Juicer.
All right. No, Smoothie's great. She got a cool design.
Is it the Sweet 3 General, second son of Charlotte?
Are you saying Charlotte Katakuri, who we haven't talked about yet?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be the one.
He's got an outfit I could see you love.
He's got some drip, huh?
He is cool. Who do I hate the most? Who do you think I hate the most?
My guess is Judge.
It is Judge.
Yeah, because Pudding you find fun to hate.
I love hating Pudding. Pudding is great. As a character, I mean, does she suck? Yes. But is she fun to dislike? Also yes. Judge, suckiest piece of shit dad ever.
In a series renowned for terrible fathers, he is somehow exceptionally bad.
My favorite Big Mom child is also Lola.
Lola's great.
I love her. She's a weirdo. But I'm not going to lie. I am looking at Katakuri, who seems like he is going to be with a 1,057,000,000 berry bounty, be kind of a thing.
He's a bit of a thing. Who's your favorite minor character?
That's a tough one. It's between Lola's dad.
Fair. Pound is doing his best.
And Bomb. Hey.
Yeah.
I think it's Bomb.
King Bomb, that's fine. I like it.
Okay, here I go.
Luffy's tier list, yeah.
Tier of S.
Hell yeah, S tier boy today. He's doing it. He did a hunger strike, baby.
He changed. He had his hunger strike. He came back to the place that he said he would be. He agreed to the pairing up with Beige, which I thought was good Luffying. Excellent fights. Pressed himself beyond his tum-tum limits. Believed in his friends as usual. He always does. The fight against that entire army, only to be taken out by book people at the end. No. Luffy, you're S-ing it up today. So good. Now, the top 5 is a little hard because I feel a bit bad that I'm not putting a specific person at the very, very top, but I'm not.
I mean, there's 2 characters who you want to put at number 1, I'm aware.
I'm struggling hard on it because they're both so good. Remember when I told you who I thought was number one, but that was before we got to the end.
That was before like the last little bit really makes a change.
When that person pulled out all the stops. Yep. I'm just going to think about that a little bit, but I'm going to put it number 3. Coming in hot and gamey, Chopper and Carrot.
Is Chopper the gamey half of that and Carrot the hot part?
Yes.
Because that's what felt like was implied.
That's what I was trying to say.
That's fun.
Number 5. And I'm giving this to them for their bravery. Straight facts. Old Jim.
Old Jim had some guts here.
Yeah. He wasn't in a lot, but boy, did he make up for lack of time with conviction. He just put himself right out there for the Straw Hats.
He saved Nami and Luffy's life, which is fairly significant considering we do need a main character.
Yeah, and he had the big old retribution and anarchy against Big Mom, and that's huge, man. Okay, I think at number 4, it was a hard call, but it's Sanji at 4.
Sanji this low is painful, but I understand why.
Yeah.
There's so many characters who are really, really high in this.
Hear me out. Sanji wrestled with a lot of things and had some introspection, but Sanji in this arc for me wasn't a person who was on the top of the charts. Was he top 5 awesome? Hells yeah. Not at top of the chart. God damn it. Number 1 is Brook.
Yeah, I know you really didn't want it, but like I knew you were a chapter away from him having gotten the poneglyph, and it changes shit.
It changed everything. Like before, I thank God I didn't commit to what I was gonna do, because as soon as he got both those poneglyphs, come on, who else can it be? Like, first of all the other things he did, the fights, the spying, all the work with Pedro, the phenomenal character development, the being in Big Mom's arms, like he made the story hilarious. And then he pulls out the poneglyph papers. Oh yeah, oh what? No, these things? Yes, I just got them. Anyways, moving on.
Big deal, y'all. A quick note, an off-stream demotion is, I think, a new way you've demoted Nami, though.
Nobody has seen that. Number 2 is Nami.
Nobody's seen it, but you have to admit that is a new demotion style. To tell me you're 100% convinced she's going to be number 1, then read the last chapter and be like, never mind.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
That is a new demotion style for Nami.
Nami was number 1. The things that she did were incredible.
Incredible. It's just she didn't get a poneglyph.
Fight scene with Luffy, all the different work she did in there, the stuff she does behind the scenes in the mirror world, the working with Luffy, the bringing him to something, like there's so many things. I was just like, I said to Drock when we were sitting side by side and I'd read a whole bunch, I was like, Nami's number 1 this arc. I was like, not just interest, not just this, but Nami is number 1. She just killed it. And then later on I finished reading it, was like, shit. That's Brook all the way. How can you not give it to Brook? Oh, poor kid. But she's number 2 and there ain't nothing wrong with being number 2.
I think there is a slim chance she has to win next half, and I think a very good chance to make it to the top 5.
Does Nami come out of a cake?
No.
I don't know if you know this. If you come out of a cake, I think you should be number 1.
We'll see what happens about Cake. I'm very glad you guessed my 3rd favorite character. So now we have my complete list of top 5, which is number 5, Robin. Number 4 is Garp. Number 3, Charlotte Katakuri. Number 2, Marshall D. Teach. Number 1 is Monkey D. Luffy. Come on, how can you not? He's perfect.
Come on.
Come on. He's perfect. The full list of Drock's favorite characters. Asterisk. I'm adding an asterisk. I don't actually have a top 5 list of characters. One of them is sharing a spot with a character we haven't met. Whoops. Oh, we didn't do the top 2 drip.
Number 1, Nami. All day, every day. Slayed.
I feel like because he hasn't done anything yet, and we've only seen him in one panel, Katakuri is only in contention for second part, not this part.
What are you talking about? I just saw his outfit. He's number 2. Because my number 2 other than him is Judge, and I'm giving that bitch anything.
Fair.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna lie. I love that.
Are you so excited to read what comes next? I'm so excited for you to read what comes next. I want to immediately say something about the comments on the shallow neoliberalism here. Big Mom makes it a goal to have people of a bunch of races, and then like also despises her daughter for being a member of another race and having a third eye. The Straw Hat crew accept people of all groups, but also appreciate them for who they are. Sanji sees the third eye and says it's beautiful.
Exactly. Well, we need to get going.
Thank you guys for being here. This is such a blast. I love this arc so much. Like I've said before, the first arc that dethroned Enies Lobby for me, I'm such a fan of it, and this has been a blast to talk about. And we got, I think, even more political than our infamous Fishman Island episode, but I'm hoping in a way people are more okay with.
Am I going to the 900?
Yeah, 902 next.
Squishies, hear me now. I will be in the 900s. Hey, before we all go, once again, this is an absolute pleasure. I always leave these just filled with energy and excitement. Thank you, Squishies, for being here and being part of this. I think out of all the images I could have picked in this arc, I really did pick the most depressing looking image.
I disagree. I think Sanji trying to light his cigarette in the rain is the saddest image in the arc.
Yeah, okay, but it's an alone image that doesn't generally feel like everyone is gonna find it as iconic as this one. This one being all dark and sad with Luffy sitting there, it kind of has this very, like, it's hopeful, but it's just such a crook of Sanji's inner hell. Are you making a weird sideways face? Oh, is that our good friend up there?
It's our good friend King Baum.
King Baum.
Famous author of Wizard of Oz. King Baum. Chat, write that down. Take note. I think a lot of this is not coming together, but these swords in the mist look fucking sick as hell.
I'm so excited to see where Bellamy is gonna be. Is he gonna be on the sleeve of Luffy?
Until next time, everybody.
Squish on, squishies!
It's been lovely talking to you. Oh, I should have called it Half Cake Island.